oh no, I'm gonna cry already. I'm like, oh, there's not a shoe? Let me go buy one. Let me throw it up. And like, let me create chaos because that's what I'm used to. And I'm like, this doesn't feel good. Like, just when I start feeling well, I'm like, oh no, I gotta worry about something else. I gotta be afraid of something else. Sort of in my life, I'm like, oh, if I say no, I'm not a good girl. Like, if I don't do the things that people want me to do, I'm not good. I think that's really the root of it, is just wanting to be loved. And I think that's where the people pleasing comes from as well. It's, I really want to be liked and I really want to be loved and validated. And so I'm like, what can I do? What can I do for you to like me? And I think that obviously the roots are in, childhood.
There's the myth of like, you do all this work.
And you think you're healed?
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny. Once I do this is going to be gone and it's going to be perfect. Or once I lose this amount of weight, everything's going to be great. And it's just not. I mean, we're constantly evolving. I mean, that's the hope.
Yeah. Welcome to this episode of Rooted Recovery Stories. So glad that you're here and excited to get this show up and going. I'm Patrick Custer, your host. From the moment we're born, we begin forming a relationship with our own minds. But society teaches us harmful myths that strength means silence, that problems should be hidden, and that struggling makes you weak. These messages get hardwired into us, and unless we actively unlearn them, they shape how we love, live, and suffer in silence. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we're spotlighting a story that breaks those myths wide open. Today's guest, Chrissy Metz, is known around the world for her role on This Is Us, but she's also a woman who's been open about her struggles through food, codependency, people-pleasing, and the deep work of emotional healing. Now, with her new children's book, When I Talk to God, I Talk About Feelings, Chrissy is helping the next generation develop the emotional tools most of us never got, reminding us all that mental health isn't just for those in crisis. It is for all of us. Chrissy.
Right?
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And this moment, right here where we are.
Yeah.
Grounded.
Yes. We're trying to be.
Hopefully. I mean,
story of my life.
We might start,
flying away. True. With our thoughts, our
we'll
fear,
tether
our shame.
each other or float away together.
Please. Oh, fine.
Sometimes it's a little fun to do that.
Yeah. Sometimes we have to. Just to come back down. But it's a process.
That's really true.
Yeah. I don't know. Hi.
I'm so glad that we're doing this today. And so I'm so grateful that we get a month where our society especially, I don't know if people outside of the United States celebrate May as Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I know for our society, it is so helpful and important that we have this time to actually give the needed recognition.
Yeah.
To.
I think so for so long. I mean, even in my family and dynamics, like you are just sort of like seen and not heard, and my mother's generation was so much of that, but it's like we're all going through the same thing. Mm-hmm. Why are we not talking about it? And because I think there's so much shame and people don't want to be vulnerable and they're afraid. And if I'm vulnerable, then I'm not strong. But I completely think that's the opposite, Oh yeah. The more vulnerable you are, the stronger you are. But
we're all little beings running around motivated by fear.
Yeah.
And some of us are trying not to be.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Some of us are trying really hard not to be.
But I think that's our default. That's what society has set us up for.
Oh, I'm really good at like, if I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, I'm like, oh, there's not a shoe? Let me go buy one. Let me throw it up. And like, let me create chaos because that's what I'm used to. And I'm like, this doesn't feel good. Like, just when I start feeling well, I'm like, oh, no, I got to worry about something else. I got to be afraid of something else. So yeah, it's a constant turning over. And but it's necessary, to walk through the fear. The only way to go is through, as they say. So
when I hear you say that, it makes me immediately think about some of my own stuff in the past couple of years of relating to what you're talking about. So surrender.
Surrender.
When I say that, and you reflect on what you just said, what would you say the biggest piece of that manifesting in repeatedly in your life, like today? Because there's the myth of like, you do all this work and then,
and you think you're healed.
yeah.
Oh, it's funny.
So then what if you had to surrender to that you thought, was actually a myth about what healing was going to look like?
Oh, I think that it would all be fixed. You're like, oh, you know what? Once I do this, this is going to be gone and it's going to be perfect. Or once I lose this amount of weight, everything's going to be great. And it's just not. I mean, we're constantly evolving. I mean, that's the hope.
Yeah.
Because if we weren't, I think we would move off to our transition if we have it all figured out. And so I think the hardest part is just knowing that like it isn't finished. It's never really finished. You're constantly, because what I think is beautiful about it is that once you make room for something else to be healed, like you're like, okay, I've gotten through that. Oh, now I can open up a space to get through the next thing. Or just when, if I've written a book or I've written a song and I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm healed from that. Or about my father or the lack of the relationship of my father and I. And I'm like, oh no, that's coming up in my relationship. Oh, like it's everywhere. It permeates everything. And so I think I thought, oh, once I got it figured out, I think I figured it out, but that's not the case. And I think there's beauty in that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm such a sucker for metaphor. When you say that, I go to the layers of the onion,
right?
And you can't skip past one and start like working on the other.
And sometimes they're really hard to peel. Them onions are for real.
And then you try and peel that one layer and have it come out in one piece.
Nope.
But and then it's like the little pieces,
thin and sticky and awkward
and rude. The audacity.
I know. It's true. I'm always the one cutting the onions in my family, which is ironic, but maybe not so much anymore. You've just answered that for me.
Oh my gosh. So we started this off by you talking about how, like us talking about feelings, grounded, flying away. I'm curious, when we start back to your childhood, were you able to identify or express how you were feeling?
Was I able to identify or express how I was feeling? My grandmother lived in Japan with us. My dad was in the Navy. I was a Navy brat. And I felt very close to her. And I felt like if I needed to, I could talk to her. But I really never knew how to express my feelings. I knew that like I felt a certain way, but I didn't know how to name those feelings. I knew I felt loved from my grandmother, which was so important for me. Obviously for anyone, but I don't think I knew how to name the feelings. Especially
the ones that are the more troubling, that need, when we need help.
Yeah. I feel like unworthy, or I don't feel as, pretty as my sister, or I feel like I'm taking up too much space, or I'm not enough, but too much of something else. I didn't really know how to name that. And when my parents got divorced, it was like, oh no, like none of us can be like upset or sad, like not outwardly anyway, because my mom was going through so much. And
there wasn't room for y'all to have.
Yeah, I also didn't want to burden my mom, so.
Where do you think that you got that earliest message that you were responsible for her feelings?
I think because she and my father didn't have the greatest relationship, and not that I'm some magical, mythical person, but I'm definitely empathetic. And, I would hear conversations between my grandmother and my mom, or I would just like sort of feel energetically. Like my mom loved my father, and I don't think it was reciprocated. And so I think I saw that and was like, oh, like you can give and give and give, and you can be married to someone and you're not getting what you need from them. And so then I'm like, oh, well, I don't want to take from my mom when maybe she doesn't have enough. I don't know. Like, I think I was just sort of assessing it as an 8-9-year-old. And to this day, like as an adult, I can see like my mom was just doing everything in her power to make sure that her kids were safe and fed, and, and so she sacrificed a lot. I don't know that she ever felt like she was in love in her relationship or that was reciprocated. And so she became very tough. So I think it's sort of like a myriad of things, Yeah.
That that toughness that you're talking about, was that a transformation post-divorce?
Yeah. I mean, my mom was definitely softer when she was married to my father. And then I think my father hardened her heart. And she was like, well, you figure it out. You pick yourself up by your bootstraps, and like, you have children that need to be taken care of. And unfortunately, I think that manifested in her physically. And I believe that like that stuff creates a disease in our body. And so, unfortunately, she has gone through some medical issues the past like 6 or 7 years. And so now what I try to do, oh no, I'm going to cry already. Now what I try to do is like, let me assess the situation so I can live in a better way than my mom did, because I know that's what she would want for us. And that's why mental health and talking about my feelings, all that is so important. Yeah. So I felt like she sacrificed literally her entire self for us.
What did life look like when you say, so that the divorce happened and she started having to sacrifice for you all? Did she get primary custody?
Yes. Yeah, my dad went, he was stationed somewhere else, some island somewhere. And yeah, it was my older brother and sister and myself. And then my mom had my 2 younger sisters. So I became the middle child, which I think was helpful in my empathy, but also very emotionally taxing. At least perhaps I did it to myself. I don't know. We'll never know. But
wait, you were the youngest until that point, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you feel like your personality was that personality? I'm a youngest child, and my personality is very much that of a youngest child.
Aww.
And I accept and embrace that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dynamics are, they're real.
But I'm interested, because when that happens at an older development age,
8-9 years old. Yeah.
It's like, I'm very curious how that affected do you feel like you were naturally more of a middle child or more of a younger child?
I think I was definitely more of a middle child. I would often take other people's feelings on and like feel responsible. And the peacemaker, I was always sort of diplomatic, or I would say like I'm the entertaining diplomat. Like if we're all fighting, like I'm like, wait, let's get a distraction. Let me make a joke. I don't even and perhaps we have attached too much to our identities as far as like dynamics or birth order. But I don't think that I ever really felt like a baby, like the baby of the family. I mean, I had some really cool toys because it was Japan, but like, I don't. Here's also
I never really thought about that. How Japan
the
has
toys.
The coolest.
Oh my gosh. I had a Cabbage Patch doll with braces and headgear.
What? Could you remove it?
Yes. Yeah, the headgear, not the braces. It was like attached.
Still.
It was cool. And then I had like a fake like McDonald's thing where you put bread in and it makes French fries. Y'all.
Wait, did it actually make the French fries?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't fry them, but like it cooked them through sort of like an easy bake oven.
Oh my gosh.
I'm telling you, that was just the tip of the iceberg. But
I had a creepy crawler machine that would make rubber.
Those things are cool.
I can smell that now that we're talking about it.
Oh yeah.
It literally
chemicals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Melting plastic.
Yeah, you're like cool.
And I used to watch it with my nose right up in the baking hole.
Yeah.
Like.
Oh yeah, the snow cone, the Snoopy snow cone machines. Those like all the toys. Gosh. I feel like we had some really cool stuff.
We did.
I mean, I'm much older than you, but however, still very cool toys. But there's sort of this myth in our family that my dad only wanted boys, and so he's very close to my brother. So my older sister was like the whipping boy for him. It was like so complicated, and she has her own stuff because when we felt abandoned by our father, she became the father figure, and so she's like the tough one of the family. And the fatherless daughter, I don't know if you've ever heard or read about that book, but like it's a real thing. So like every person is obviously important in the dynamic of a family, but I don't know that I ever felt like the baby of the family.
Yeah.
Maybe a baby, but not the baby.
Oh, yes. I got you right there.
Yeah.
So aside from that, what were some of the other emotional storms that shaped your sense of self?
Oh, goodness. Obviously, my parents divorcing. When my mom became a single mom, we ended up moving often. And I went to every elementary school in Gainesville, Florida. And of course, like in the midst of it, I'm like, this is so scary. And I don't know, like, how am I going to do this? But now as my chosen career path, I'm like, oh, it's been so advantageous because I get to acclimate. I get to meet people. I love people. I love to talk to people and get to know them. So, things definitely do happen for us and not to us. But that the divorce just generally was tricky. And I think, my older brother and sister were sort of acting out. And then I was like, well, I have to be the good girl. Like, I was so well behaved. I never did anything I shouldn't do. I never talked back. Like, I was a good girl.
Yeah. And
sort of in my life, I'm like, oh, if I say no, I'm not a good girl. Like, if I don't do the things that people want me to do, I'm not good. So unfortunately, I'm, unraveling all that because I don't need to always be the good girl.
Wait, but what about what happened? Sorry.
I was like, oh.
No, nothing happened. FYI, my brain, I look off into the distance when I have
perfect.
a thought.
Oh, good to know.
So it's nothing's happening.
Okay.
It's just me
great.
being weird.
Listen, I'm ready to head for the door if you need me to. So I guess I'm always on edge. No, I don't know. Okay, just checking.
Okay, so that's where that part of my brain is. I have to visually access it.
Got it.
But when you said that you internalized this message that you had to do this or that, not do this or that to be the good girl.
Yeah.
But what's a good girl? And why did you have to be that?
Yeah. I think because I wanted to be loved. I think that's why we do everything that we do in life is like we want to be validated because we really want to be loved. And I was like, okay, if I'm not getting attention or if I feel like I'm not getting the proper connectivity I need from my parents, I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll just be good because then I won't be a problem. Then maybe they'll love me more. And if they love me more, then maybe I'll, walk through life differently. Yeah. So I think that's really the root of it is just wanting to be loved. And I think that's where the people pleasing comes from as well. It's, I really want to be liked and I really want to be loved and validated. And so I'm like, what can I do? What can I do for you to like me? And I think that obviously the roots are in, childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that in a big way. Do you have just jumping forward a little bit, being in a career now that's so visible, do you insulate yourself from the chatter?
Oh, you mean the people who are mean?
Yeah.
Initially,
because it doesn't matter who you are or what you do.
Oh, it doesn't matter how thin, rich.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. People are always going to have something to say. And it definitely has been a process because here's the thing. I've been picked on all my life. That's not new. People are just more vocal about it because they can hide behind a keyboard or a phone, which is crazy to me because I really do believe that if we loved ourselves, if we cared about ourselves, you can't be mean to someone else. Like you just don't have it in you,
right?
And you don't have the time or the energy or the effort to do it.
Right. And
so I try to have grace and empathy and mercy for those people because they know not what they do. But I really try to stay away from it. And I try not to attach to the good or the bad. Because anybody's opinion about me is really not my business. It's their perception. Yes, I want to be liked and I want to be loved. But in the whole sort of evolution of the people pleasing, the little good girl who wants just to be liked, I'm like, oh, I have to just like myself. Like I just have to love myself. And people either are on board or they're not. Yeah. And I just can't take it personally anymore.
You named something that is so good, so important and applicable to anybody, whether you have a platform or live, you're, what's that word for people that aren't very social? It's definitely not me. Introvert.
Sure. Yeah.
But that those of us who struggle, me included, with people pleasing and codependency, that you said not attaching yourself to the good or the bad
Yeah.
because it's a cyclical process.
Yeah.
And when we attach ourselves to that good, it gives power to the one bad message to bring us completely down.
People can write the kindest, most wonderful things, but I look for that one message of somebody saying blah, 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 blah. And I think it comes from the people pleasing, and like 100 people can love me and I want that 101. I need that one. Like, thank you so much. Thank you for loving me. But like, I need to convince this one person, you know? Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know. Like, is it the not enoughness? It's like, and maybe that stems back to like the food issues that I have. It's like for a long time, the amount of food or the kind of food, like it wasn't enough, but I feel like we fill that void with whatever. It could be food, gambling, spending, whatever. You
Very
fill the
true.
void, you know? So I hate that. Like, I have that desire to want to be liked by everyone, because it's just not possible.
We get detached from, just to trace this back to what you said right after that, is it like this attaching ourselves to that cycle detaches us from any connection we have with our own identity of value within ourselves. Right. Which is, if you don't start out with a strong one, it's really hard for those of us to get to that place.
Sure.
And so
the foundation.
The closer we get to that merry-go-round or that Ferris wheel of the, or laundry cycle, like it's just gonna pull us right in.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, I don't even remember where did I get my sense of what my worth comes from. Right. So, was there you talked about, was it your grandma, I believe, was there anybody else in your life that helped role model identifying feelings at a younger age, or was that not until adulthood where you started experiencing consequences and
Yeah, I really don't think, like, we didn't have time to think about our feelings and talk about them and like sit around and, how are you feeling today? It was like, oh, like, are we going to have dinner? Oh, are the lights going to be on when we get home? Oh, like, are my sister and brother going to fight because of whatever, So I don't think it was until probably like my 20s, really. I mean, I was definitely the class clown in like middle school, high school. And I know that of course, that I was acting out because I wanted attention that I didn't get at home, any positive or negative. And that was, I guess, part of the process, but I certainly didn't, I remember my mom wanting me to go to therapy, and I was like, oh, I could tell the therapist what's wrong. And she was like, what? And I think that was sort of a light bulb moment. I think I was 8th or 9th grade. And, I was like, you remarried to a man who is abusive, and you're doing it because you're trying to protect us all. And I appreciate it.
Wait, she remarried your dad?
No, my stepfather.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Remarried.
Gotcha.
I'm sorry. That was confusing.
Okay.
Yeah. She got married to my stepfather, and it was, it was difficult. And we had, I had a stepsister, his daughter, and they didn't get along, my mom and her. And so, yeah, it was difficult, but I was like, yeah, you can take me to therapy, but I'll save you some money and tell you what's going on.
So when she said, maybe we could take you to therapy, was that had she been doing her own therapy and thinking, oh, this would be great for Chrissy too, or was it Chrissy's a problem, let's fix her?
Yes, Chrissy's the problem, because my stepfather thought that I was trying to break my mother and his marriage apart. And I was like, pretty sure a 12, 13-year-old can't do that. But I had a hard time because I was resentful that I thought at the time my mom allowed him to be so hard, so difficult with me, make me weigh myself every day and like just berate me. And I know now he was a very troubled man, and I have forgiven him, and I'm so grateful. for that, but it doesn't mean it wasn't hurtful, and it doesn't mean it's justified. But I think I was told that like I was the problem. Yeah.
He made you weigh yourself every day.
Yeah. Yeah. It was not cool.
If you don't mind me asking,
No.
was that the first time a significant primary caregiver or adjacent,
Yeah.
Was inappropriate with you about your body image, size, weight?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I don't remember, like, my grandmother never ever said a word about my weight, and like she always complimented me, and thank God. Like I think she helped me survive. But it wasn't really until my mom married my stepfather that like, yeah, things definitely shifted and changed. I mean, there were times where we would go school shopping and a lot of the stuff didn't fit, or it was like boys' clothes because it was back in the day, in the 90s, the early 2000s, and there just wasn't anything for girls who weren't like a straight size. So, yeah, I mean, it sort of started that. And I'm sure it, was a worry for my mom, but she never vocalized it. It wasn't until my stepdad that I was like, oh, like this is really a problem in all the ways, or at least that's what I thought. I was told. Yeah.
So he's making you weigh yourself and berating you, and she's not
Well, she's not usually there when he does it. Yeah, like she'll be at work, or it's also, he was very intimidating. Like if he wasn't given his plate first when we had dinner, he would be very angry, and I had to call him yes sir. Like I always had to say sir, couldn't say It's just very militant to some degree.
I would have been weighed, spanked, grounded,
Yeah.
just for the
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was very strict, and like, I want to believe, because somewhere deep down he was like, I see good in her and I want to help her.
Yeah.
As an adult, I see that, but it's hard to reconcile that when you're going through puberty.
Of course.
Your mom's remarried and your dad's abandoned you.
Well, and you've,
Yeah.
as we've already established, you've done a lot of work on yourself, and you opened that storyline up with addressing him in that situation by saying he was a very troubled man, and
Yeah.
I know that now. And because I don't believe people are inherently evil,
Same.
and so like that type of behavior obviously is, rooted out of some I'm sure some
Pain,
crazy pain from back in his.
Yeah.
But the day that we live in right now, and just like trying to put my brain in like a impressionable teenage girl who's being forced by a stepfather
Yeah.
to get on a scale every day, and then told degrading.
Yeah. Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
So you had already been internalizing. I have to be good. I have to please. I have to this. I have to that. I have to entertain at school. But when he starts to do that, is the message one of rebellion, defiance, or were you, I gotta fall in compliance even more? I'm doing such a bad job. Like,
yeah,
what?
I think it was rebellion in that, like, gaining weight was like a way to keep people away. And I also found comfort in food. Also, being Italian and Irish, it's like food is like you're sad, happy, mad, indifferent. Like you eat.
Yeah.
Like food is.
Well, I'm
what
Southern,
it is.
so same.
Or Southern, absolutely, absolutely same thing. And so it was this duality of like, yeah, I want to do good, but I also want to keep you away, and I don't want you to get any closer because you don't actually care about me. At least I didn't think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so weaving in the narrative of this book that you have written, and the goals that you have, and in what ways does, when I talk to God, I talk about my feelings, reflect the childhood that Chrissy needed?
Yeah, I mean, the overall picture is like I didn't feel seen or heard, And if I could have just said to my mom, like, when I did say, my stepdad was doing these things, instead of her turning the other way and saying like, oh, I can't deal with this because we need to have a roof to stay under. And part of me is like, gosh, if she fought for me, or if she said, you know what, Chrissy, this is not okay. So sorry this is happening to you. We're going to fix it. I don't know. I feel like being validated and just being heard is so important. And I taught preschool, and I have 10 nieces and nephews. So I see that through these kids, and I really do believe you have to treat the soil. And I do wish that I had the opportunity to say like, yeah, I'm nervous, I'm scared, I'm disappointed, I'm sad, I don't feel loved, whatever it is. Or just having the time for someone to say, I'm here, like, you tell me what's going on, tell me how you feel. And even if I couldn't express it, just having someone give me that time, so I'm hoping that's, I mean, it was obviously the impetus for the book, but I'm hoping that it will create connectivity and conversation with a reader and a audience.
I want to ask you this because I come from a real, pretty conservative Christian upbringing. And so, we're talking about a convergence of addressing mental health with kids and God together. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Were you raised in a Christian household?
Yeah, I was raised Catholic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know about in Catholicism, but I was Southern Pentecostal,
right.
Yeah. Glory.
Yes. Yes.
So, only recently has that arm of the Protestant church, I would say, started to embrace that we might have some of our own legwork to do when it comes to mental health, and miracles and praying to God isn't the only thing. Right. Like there's action we have to take.
Sure.
So what I'm curious about the impetus for you on putting those two things together, because obviously when you're deciding I'm going to do a children's book, whether or not what made you decide to do the overlap, the mental health with the piece around God?
Yeah. So because my grandmother was so instrumental in my faith, and I felt like, honestly, I couldn't go to anyone. I'm like, I can't go to my mom. I can't go to my stepdad. My grandmother now has moved away down south. Who do I go to? And I remember going to church by myself and just asking God for help. Help me, guide me in the direction that you want me to go, because I clearly don't know what I'm doing and I don't know how to fix it. And so for me, and especially now in my conscious contact with God and my relationship with God, I have a personal relationship, and that for me is very important. Mm-hmm. And not to say that church and tradition and all, it's beautiful and I revere it and all of those things, but I always wanted to impart upon people that you can pray anywhere, anytime. And that was the impetus for the first book. And then I thought, oh, okay. When we were reading it out to kids at churches and schools, they always wanted to talk about their feelings. And I was like, oh, so this has to be they're asking for it. This has to be the second book. And for me, going back and realizing that when no one else was there, for me, that relationship with God was the most important. And because I didn't feel seen or heard by anyone else. So that was really sort of the desire to want to weave my faith into the children's books. Mm. Yeah.
I think that's my intentional pause there is just reflecting on how I think that the compare and contrast of what you were talking about and where I was coming from are we all have such different backgrounds in our relationship with faith, because for me, mine was, and mind you, I have a very close relationship with God now. It's just mine's different than how I was raised, and so I think for a lot of us in the South, what I was getting at in the beginning was how a lot of times mental health is written off, right? As like a thing that God doesn't.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you're broken, something's wrong. Yeah.
Like,
sure.
Pray. The Holy Spirit, that's what the Holy Spirit is for.
Right.
And you need, you know, and I think that the whole what you're talking about is so beautiful because it's such a different perspective than I've even like really approached it from. I mean, like, yes, asking for help. I've been in 12 steps for, you know,
Same.
over 14 years. And when I'm at a loss for words, like, I know that my one prayer is just like, I don't even know what help I need, but I surrender in this moment.
Yeah.
And help me however.
Yeah.
I need the help and however it needs to show up.
Right. And let me see it. I'm always like, please just like stand on my shoulders and like point my head in the right direction because sometimes the ego doesn't want to see it.
Yeah. As time moved on and you said food, you know, you were gaining weight and food became this, not just food, but you said the weight acted as a buffer between your feelings and others, discomfort and being seen when you didn't want to, or, you know, not having to connect if you, you know, all those things. Was there anything you can identify now that you feel like growing up through your teen years that it was like protecting you from, or that you really thought like that you identified that you were being protected from, or thought so anyway?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that I survived my childhood and my teenage years, like, I'm like, oh, there's someone bigger and a higher power having control over this, because there were definitely like really scary thoughts for a time, and especially when you're going through puberty and like everything's changing, it was like I was a mess, but there was some sort of foundation in that I really believe that if you're on this planet, like, you're purposeful. There's too many things.
Amen.
That, right? There's too many things that have to happen in order for someone to be born. And, you know, obviously our parents and their parents meeting and you know, all of that. It's just so, I can't deny that. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to hold on to that. I'm going to hold on to there has to be some sort of purpose in this. And whether it's my evolution or, you know, I always say that people are the teacher or the student, and sometimes we're both. And I'm like, okay, there has to be a reason that I'm here, that I'm dealing with this, and what can I glean from it? So I think it was just holding on to that concept.
So what I heard you say is that the piece of tenacity or hope, you had that piece to connect yourself to hold you through. But as you were naming the stuff, what really stuck out to me was there were really scary thoughts that you had.
100%.
Can you speak to that?
Yeah. I mean, I was like, I don't want to be here. Like, I don't feel loved. I don't feel heard. I don't feel respected. Like, what am I doing? What am I doing here? I mean, I've never gone through with any, or I had like suicidal ideations, but like, it was definitely like, why am I here? Like, is it for a reason? Like, is there a purpose in this? And, you know, especially, gosh, I can't imagine teenagers going through social media, and I have no idea. God bless them. Like, just watch over all of them, because I can't even imagine if going through that and it's magnified on, you know, a social platform. But yeah, I mean, I felt so down. I felt so down on myself, so insecure, so unworthy. And, it shows up, and it showed up in everything that I did or didn't do. Like, I wanted to join the theater department, but I was too afraid. Or it wasn't until my senior year that I actually was like, oh, I want to try out for chamber choir. So like it really permeated everything.
What were some of the other things that you wanted to do that you didn't let yourself do because
well, I was studying art in high school, and I really wanted to go to an art school. And I was like, I'm not good enough. Like, forget it. I got my whole portfolio ready. And then my parents were like, well, if you don't get a scholarship, you can't afford to go to school anyway. And I'm like, oh, cool. So I should just hang it up. Like everything. I mean, even like I was always the girl who was getting my friends, I was like the Cupid, hooking my friends up with the boys that liked them, even though I liked them. And I was like, oh, but
you live vicariously.
Yeah, for sure. Everything. I mean, it was like, I wanted to run for, like, I remember, class president. I was like, I could make a change in this school. And I was like, yeah, right. Like, if you're not pretty and rich and thin, it's not going to happen.
So if you didn't let yourself have goals and aspirations for the snapshot of time that you were in, then did you allow yourself to have the dream about what you wanted to do later in life?
No, I went to an open call that my sister had me take her to as her guardian. And I was teaching preschool at the time. I was like, I'll be an early childhood educator. Like, that's what I'll do. And I'll make a change that way, leave my thumbprint that way. And the manager who was hosting the whole open call was like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, nothing. But there was a woman sitting across from me while my sister was auditioning in the room. And she's like, oh, I taught at your high school. And I was like, no, you didn't. She's like, yeah, I was in the drama department. I was like, I wasn't in the drama department. And she's like, oh, well, what are you doing here? And I was like, oh, I'm just with my sister. And she's like, I think you should audition. And I'm like, okay. And to this day, I never saw the woman again. Nobody ever like knew who I was talking about. And I was like, the lady with the brown hat. They're like, Chrissy, no, what are you talking about? And so I feel like that was sort of like a guardian angel of some sort to like, just like push me along and encourage me, because I didn't believe in myself. And I'm a person like, I needed other people to believe in me before I believed in myself.
Yeah.
And so when the woman who was holding the audition came out, she was like, you don't sing or act or anything? And I was like, mm-mm. And my sister was like, yes, you do. And I'm like, no, I don't. And I was just so afraid because I don't want to be rejected. I don't want to feel like I'm not enough, blah, 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 blah. And I ended up singing Reflection, of course, from Mulan. Why I chose that song, I'll never know.
Well, how many times did you practice it before in the bathroom?
No.
What?
No.
Oh, this wasn't one that you...
Right. That's why I was like, Chrissy, this is not even like your go-to song.
Wait, what was your go-to song?
I don't know. Probably some by Whitney Houston. Not that it was great, but
sure.
it's just, she's my girl.
Uh-huh.
But
Reflection's a great song, by the way.
Oh,
Reflection is...
So good.
I guess it was
there's metaphor.
Yes, maybe that's why I sung it. Like,
yeah,
maybe it was a bigger picture. But
I could do all the runs, by the way.
Oh, I bet you can. Well, listen, I'm jealous because I know I can't.
I think, Chrissy, I think I can. That's in my head.
That's all that matters.
Stories,
that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Honestly, it's about the conviction.
Yeah,
it's about the conviction.
Yeah,
but, yeah, and so I ended up singing because like in my heart I was like, oh my gosh, get me out of here, like help me. But I was a big girl from a small town. I'm like, it's not happening for me, even if I wanted to or thought about, because singing was my first love, music was my first love, and I never thought about acting.
Had you ever sung in front of you said
just
you did choir at senior year, right?
not myself, like not solo, not by myself.
Did you never did any solos in choir?
Oh no.
Okay.
Oh no.
So
too afraid to audition.
This was the first time you sang up in front of a group of people?
Yeah, and I was like, oh, this is really uncomfortable. Like, yeah, and again, reflection. Anyway, yeah, so then I ended up, signing with her, and then we did a showcase in LA, and I got an agent, and I was like, what? This big girl from a small town with crunchy curly hair. I put way too much LA looks in my hair at the time, y'all. That thing was crunchy.
Wait, what year was this ish?
It was 2002.
Oh,
yeah. 2002. Yeah.
I mean, that wet look was happening for...
She looked like she got out of the shower. It was so wet. I was like, oh. Ugh. But into this day, my first ever agent, who I'm still friends with, she's like, Chrissy, I loved your crunchy little Gainesville curly hair. I said, leave me alone. Yeah. And she also told me it's not insurance, it's insurance. She always gave me grief about that. I'm like, yeah, insurance. And she's like, no, insurance. And I'm like, insurance. And display. She's like, these are not this. We have to tone it down. So, whatever.
Wait, okay, because I can't hear any of that in your...
No, I've really dialed it down because, I'm trying to be,
well, after living in California
versatile.
For long enough. Yeah.
Yes.
And
yes.
Yeah.
In LA. But when I go home, baby, that country comes back strong. Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny.
I love a Southern accent, though. I love accents generally.
Me too.
But I love a Southern accent, too.
I like to say that I'm a bit of a chameleon. So like when I'm around,
sure.
Do you know Fire Rose?
No.
She is a lovely Christian musician. And anyway, I interviewed her recently on the show, but she's from Australia. And I was like,
cute. And you became Australian?
Don't be Australian.
You're like, nar.
Nor.
I think Australian and Scottish are like the hardest accents.
They are, but I love to act like me and one of my best friends. We will spend. So my partner is Venezuelan, and he came from by way of Gainesville. So like he moved to the States and lived in Gainesville until coming here.
Gainesville where?
Florida.
No.
Yes.
You're lying.
He does not say insurance.
Right.
Because
he's
can't
Venezuelan.
even say it like you just...
Insurance. You hit the insurance. Wait, really?
Yes. And when you say Gainesville, I'm like, oh my goodness.
No way.
Yeah. And so, I know.
Cute.
Yeah. But...
I love it. I love accents.
The accents.
But I honestly, and I did a movie in England last summer. Yeah. And I literally...
How long? The whole summer or how long?
Oh, was it the summer? No, it was February, March. Not the summer, guys. February, March. It was like 2.5 months I was there.
Okay.
And I came back and I was like, do you want to go outside? And everyone's like, what? Ew, Chrissy, who are you? I'm like, I don't know. But like...
Madonna, get over it.
Yeah. Madonna. That's who I am. I know. But I can very much... And then I was in South Africa literally last month, and everyone is South African, or they speak Afrikaans or and then I end up like, I was like, I'm not South African, and it's like the hardest accent. I'm like, Chrissy, stop. You're American. Stop. So I don't know. It's annoying that way that I'll just like take on people's...
What's the easiest one for you to slip into that's not your actual...
Probably English.
Really?
Yeah, probably. Because I always do it like if I'm out and everything. Like, yeah. So, and then I got caught once because I was shopping with a friend, and the guy's like, "Right, where you from?" And I was like, "Goop." And I was like, yeah, Leeds." And he's like, "No." And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Me too." And I was like, I gotta go. My friend was like, Chrissy, what? And I was like, true confession, I am lying. I'm American. And he's like, oh, right. And I was like, oh, I can't lie. I can't. I hate it. So yeah, I got that. I don't do it often, but I did it.
Oh, I love that you
stressful
actually
situations.
Own up to it in the moment.
I have to. I do it in stressful situations because I'm like, oh, this is how I can really get out of the comfort zone. And then I got called out. So that's what I get. That's what I get. So sorry, John at H&M, wherever you are today.
Chrissy is not indeed from Leeds.
I'm not from Leeds at all. No.
When you say that, I can't help but think of that. You remember that video that went viral a while back? Charlie, that hurts.
Charlie bit my finger. Oh, yeah. Oh. Listen, in English kids, I can't.
They're not real.
They're not real. Do you see that little girl who like was tired from walking to school from like a walk? She's like, I don't want to walk anymore. And her mom's like, we're just going up the block. It's so cute. Oh my gosh.
If a little kid talked to me like that about being like so tired and not being able to walk anymore, I'd be like, I'll
carry you.
You're right.
You're 18. I don't care. I'll carry you. Yeah, I know. They're the best. So cute. Anyway, we digress.
Okay, yes. Sorry. We floated up. We're floating back down.
Yes.
What, looking back, were there any emotions that were off limits for you to express?
All of them? No, I think the biggest one is like anger. Like it takes a lot for me to get angry.
Now that's weird for a people pleaser.
I know. I don't allow myself to, I'm like, oh, if I'm angry, it's not going to be pretty. It's going to offend somebody. But even to this day, like if I get frustrated or angry about something, I'm like, is this okay? Like, I don't, but then I go to the extreme and I'm like really angry.
Because you've been angry about it by the time you're actually realizing it,
right?
You've been angry about it for a while and not admitting it.
Correct. Just stuffing the feelings down. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Embarrassingly, and I've been admitting this for probably 6 months now when this topic comes up, because it's important for me to stay accountable, period, because I don't want to regress. But I've been on all my iterations of healing journey for a long time. But just like, I don't know, there's shame also in the whole like thinking that you should have been at a certain layer of the onion.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
But how many years? And like I wasn't taking a break on working on myself. Like, why this is just now coming up.
Right.
And it's been, I went through a divorce a couple of years ago, and it was after that, in that year following that, I was doing work on myself and started to identify that for the first time when people would ask me like how I felt, what I thought, whatever, that my answer that I had ever given before was never what I actually, like, I did not know how to access what mine was. It was whatever the most intense person in the room or the group dynamic or whatever, like catering to all the things that you've been talking about, like I carried that so far. I'm curious, like what point did you get to where you started being able to identify your own feelings?
I have to say, like, acting has been very helpful, because even if it's under the guise of another character, I'm like, oh, she's mad. She's mad about that. Oh, I wonder why she's mad about that. And then just digging into that, I'm like, oh, you're mad about that. Oh, that's something that bothers you, or that doesn't bother you. And, it's to have empathy for another perspective. And so that's been helpful. But also having a big family has been helpful too. And I've always been like the mediator, in like office settings. I was a talent agent for 9 years. So I became my agent's assistant after I signed with her. And just like listening to people had always helped me to understand, like, oh, they can feel a certain way about that. Why can't I? They're angry about XYZ. Why can't I be? So those have been really helpful. Just art in general, that sort of helps me to express. And also being in a healthy relationship, it's a very, very different thing. I'm like, oh, this is what it's like to be loved. Oh. And I was married many moons ago for about 5.5 years to a wonderful man. I didn't know how to be a wife at 27 years old, but what in the world?
I don't know. But these days, I'm like, I feel like they should force people to wait until at least 30.
I think college, I think marriage, like
freeze those eggs.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's just so much more growing.
Yeah,
I think that can be so helpful. But yeah, I think it's just being sort of an observer and also seeing myself. And I think that's why I wanted to be an actress eventually, was that I wanted to see myself on TV, that I'm physically, emotionally, mentally. And then it helped me to also navigate my own feelings. So yeah, never really thought about that until you asked me. So.
Well, It's interesting though, as I ask that about like identifying your own, you talked about how, well, I was in a big family, I was the mediator, even in the office environment setting, I was like the mediator, I would try to help orchestrate all the stuff. And I'm like, wait, but what I hear is that you're the one in the middle caretaking all other people's feelings.
I know.
Right? Like, so how does that get you to a place of like...
Well, I think by doing that, I can then realize, okay, not only am I validated in feeling angry or sad or mad or name the feeling, but if people have courage and confidence to do it, so can I.
So vicariously. So when you got to see up close the process of someone navigating or owning their own feeling.
Yeah. Like I have some sisters who are, I don't want to say inherently, but who are really good at choosing themselves. And I was like, they're so selfish. And this life coach I was seeing was like, do you think maybe you're not selfish enough? Mm-hmm. Yes, that's exactly what it is, you know? So yeah, I guess we fake it till we make it until we figure it out. That's sort of how I navigated it. But it's been such a process. And obviously we know healing is not linear, so.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Were any of those survival tools that you were learning along the way hurting more than helping?
Sure. I mean,
can you name
comfort with food. Like I wasn't necessarily eating things that like were healthy or beneficial to me, but they were comforting. Mm-hmm. And instead of expressing my feelings, I would stuff them down. I don't know if you know this song called Sideways, Travis Meadows, who's an incredible songwriter, singer.
Yes, but I can't bring it to I've heard it.
Yeah, the line is push it down till it comes out sideways. And like,
Travis lives here, I think, doesn't he? Yeah.
He's incredible. But like, that's what I was doing. I'm like stuffing it down and I'm like, I'm going to implode at some point in some way, shape or form. So while that was helpful in coping for the moment, I know long term I was like, just stinks that I'm like hurting myself when it's somebody else who's been hurting me, or I can't vocalize how I'm feeling. So, or, you know, acting out in school, talking back to the teachers, because people would laugh and I'm like, oh, they're laughing. They think I'm funny because they love me, you know.
But how did that contrast with your need to be good and not do anything wrong? I mean,
I think that was my rebellion stage.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I was like, oh, I can act this way in school, not at home, because I would be in real big trouble. Like I had one time I slammed the door and my door was taken off the hinges. So I just knew I couldn't be acting up at home. So, and then one of the deans at my school, she was so incredible. I'll never, ever, ever forget what she did for me. Like she knew why I was acting out. And so she was like, just come in my office and let's talk. And she like was there for me and she understood me. It was so helpful.
Yeah.
And that's sort of when I was like, oh, Chrissy, you can't be doing this. This is not good. This is not who you are, especially.
This podcast is brought to you by Promises Behavioral Health. If you or a loved one are struggling with trauma, addiction, or mental health, we are ready to answer your questions and help you take that next step. Call our admissions center at 888-648-4098 or visit us online at www.promises.com. Our team is ready and waiting to answer the call for help.
Codependency, overeating, or choosing bad foods in general. Honestly, everything you're talking about as far as like self-medicating behaviors, we're all part of. Like, I can absolutely relate. And have you been able to identify any of the ways that, when I say the word betrayal, I feel like it holds such a powerful punch to it?
Yeah.
Because when we talk about coping mechanisms, I mean, you said you either said it or inferred it earlier, and it's very, very true. I mean, hell, you know, like my main thing that I first recovered from was alcoholism. For a while, alcohol kept me from the other alternative.
Sure.
Like it kept me living until I, you know, but then it also, then it got to the point where it was killing me.
Right.
So, so it serves us until it doesn't.
Right. Right.
What would you describe as the betrayal you felt from your coping mechanisms when that flip happened?
Yeah, I just, you know, I think just not feeling well in my body. And it wasn't like, oh, because I'm a big girl that I'm like, oh, I don't have confidence. It was like I physically didn't feel well.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't really until probably, like, I would go in spurts of like, oh, okay, like I'm going to eat better. You know, as they say, like emotional eating. I've tried all those things, you know.
Oh, you mean intuitive eating?
Oh, sorry. Excuse me. Intuitive eating. Yes.
I'm like, no, we've all tried emotional eating.
Emotional
Chrissy.
eating is what I do all the time. Thank you.
Yeah.
Intuitive eating.
I've got my doctorate in that
yeah.
one.
Oh, yeah. Twice I've gotten it. Yes, intuitive eating. You know, so all the things that, like, all the resources and tools that I thought. But, you know, my friend and I were talking, and she's like, when my heart is full, I'm not hungry. I'm not hungry for what I think I need or want. And so much of, like, being in a 12-step program, you know, we talk about, like, oh, if you're angry, you probably want something crunchy. If you're sad, you want something, like, smooth or creamy, like an ice cream. And so that coupled with, like, intuitive eating and just, like, when I want to go and eat or I want to fill the void with something, shopping, it could be anything. I'm like, okay, what's really going on, Chrissy? Like, what's really happening? And so just being able to sit with myself and sit through the discomfort. And I think because I've been so uncomfortable all my life that I'm like, but wait. I think that it's making me comfortable, but inevitably it's not.
Right.
You know,
it's always momentary.
Yes.
It's like
very
the
fleeting.
illusion of.
Yes. Right.
And then the after is even worse.
Even worse.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, and I have to do it again because I know I feel even worse. Yeah.
Is there.
Get off the ride.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there something, because you're human, I know that this has got to be true. Like, we talked about this at the very beginning of the episode, like, not perfect, we still catch ourselves. So, like, is there anything that you've implemented through your inner working that has helped you catch yourself and recognize that you're in one of those spaces that you're medicating earlier now?
Yes. Yeah. Certainly. Like, I try to sort of implement everything that helps me. Gratitude list, journaling, therapy, so I can sort of get and excavate those feelings out before I decide to fill the void with something. And some days are great. Some days I'm like, oh yeah, I got this. And some days I'm like, oh no, I'm eating XYZ or I'm spending this or that. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important to be patient and give yourself grace because it's something we're unlearning, and unconditioning is difficult. It's time consuming. It's, like we said before, not linear. So yeah, I just sort of, before I go to do something, react like as a reaction. I'm like, oh wait, why are you doing this? What are you doing it for? Mm-hmm. What's really going on? Yeah.
When did therapy, because we talked about how your mom tried to, like, push you into it at that point in life, but, like, when did you start seeking help to do better for yourself?
It was I had my 30th birthday. I was married, and I had my first panic attack in my life watching The Expendables at the ArcLight in Sherman Oaks, California. And I was with my ex-husband, a dear friend, and her mom. And I was like, is it the noises? Is it like my heart is racing out of my chest. Like, I don't understand what's going on. Like, am I dying? And I literally got taken away on a stretcher to the, emergency room.
I was going to say, I was about to start questioning you, because I have severe panic disorder. So I'm like, wait, you were questioning if you were dying? I don't know if it's panic. I'm like, no, I am certain that I'm dying when it's a panic attack.
Oh yeah. It's the scariest thing. I wouldn't wish it on anyone in the world. And I'd never had it before. And what happened was I started to go to a 12-step program every morning before work. And I realized that a lot of what was going on was I was working as an agent, but I wasn't happy. And I really wanted to, be a singer and an actress. Mm-hmm. My ex-husband at the time was working part-time, and I was sort of helping him because he was an aspiring screenwriter. And I just realized, like, I am not happy. What am I doing? Like, and I think that was a catalyst, was that panic attack going into the emergency room. They're like, you're fine. I mean, you might want to lose weight. And I'm like, okay, thanks. I've been hearing that all my life. And I remember this doctor was like, if you were my daughter, I'd make you get XYZ surgery. And I was like, okay, thanks. And I just realized, like, something is not clicking. What is it? I'm unhappy in the marriage. I'm unhappy in my career. I'm unfulfilled. And I just, I think I became like a mirror to my ex-husband, and it started to, like, we started like growing apart, and it was just like, oh, this massive major shift is happening in my life. And it was so scary, but it was necessary, because I don't think I would be sitting here talking to you about my career if I was still married.
Yeah.
I would be miserable.
For those who don't understand what you mean, when you describe becoming a mirror to your husband, what describe?
Yeah.
That?
I think he was like, oh, there are things that he didn't, and he hadn't contended with, that I, whether I was having a conversation with him about it, and he dealt with something he didn't want to talk about. And it started to create this friction that never existed in our relationship before. And I was like, what's going on? And then he started working out, and he lost some weight, and then his wedding ring didn't fit. And I was like, hey, like, where's your ring? And he's like, oh, I took it off because when I go hiking, it doesn't stay on. I'm like, oh. And I was like, why don't you go get it sized? Like, you've lost weight. Congratulations. It's great. But he was medicating in other ways. And so it was like, we're both trying to help ourselves to help the relationship. But ultimately, he didn't really, I asked him, like, do you want to try therapy? Do you want to try talking about it? And he's like, no, I don't think it's going to be helpful. I'm like, okay, all right. I can't force somebody to do something they're not willing or capable of doing. So I think it was a great thing, but my therapist always says either people are willing or they're capable. Like, you got to be either willing. Like, some people can't. I said, how do you stay in a relationship? And they're like, she says, are they willing and are they capable? And at that moment, I don't think he was capable, or perhaps he was unwilling, maybe both. And it was hard because we loved each other so much, but we knew that, like, we weren't the right fit. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm so grateful.
The pain of that situation was the catalyst that put you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Launched you into this.
Yeah, but it was the scariest time. He dealt with so much of my panic attacks and my anxiety. I'm so grateful for him for dealing with that, because I can't imagine being the other person dealing with someone going through what it's, the patience, the love, the care. It's incredible. So I'm so grateful for him for that. But it was scary. And I still deal with anxiety and panic, and
is it just a lot less?
Yeah, a lot less, or like I can sort of turn it down quicker, or I can reconcile the feelings, or I have tools. Yeah, I guess I should say I have a better equipped toolbox.
It doesn't always end up in the emergency room.
No, it doesn't. Often. I have done that a couple times. But
I'm laughing with you and at you.
Oh, it's okay because I'm laughing at myself too.
Well, I mean, just 'cause same.
Yeah. It's wild. Our minds, I'm like, can we just use them for good? Let's just use them like they're so powerful. I want to use it all for good.
It's so true. But
I know. But we're human.
we are.
Yeah.
So very human. What was we talked about the breakthrough. What emotional regulation tools have you used most with the acute situations? So like journaling, breathing, all these, the things that you kind of talked about are maintenance tools that are really helpful for us through the day, right? In a moment of like
absolute panic. I honestly pray.
I always laugh when somebody says they're like, I journal, and I'm like, oh really?
Yeah.
You sit down,
I'm like,
you
really?
pull a pen out and
I'm like reeling. I'm like, I can't find a pen. I can't find my journal. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. So but you pray.
I pray. I'm like, I just surrender and trust. I'm like, please God, like whatever it is that you have in store for me, but like, let me get out of my own way. And like, help me to understand why I'm feeling this way. Which then of course you can pull up a pen and a journal maybe the next day.
I was going to say
once you're out of the, the whole episode, but it's in that moment, it is frightening. So I do try to take some deep breaths, the 4x4x4 breathing, that helps me, or music really helps me. Have you heard of binaural beats?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's like a new thing for me.
Yeah.
Like I have our app, we've got the little Apple Pod thing or whatever it's called in all the rooms of our house. And I'll be like, Siri, play binary.
Yes. I never say it right. Am I saying it right?
I think it's binary. But maybe I'm saying
it. Okay. But you know what we're talking about.
Yes.
Yes. Frequencies.
Yes. And it's like not
you can do it for everything.
Yeah.
A pain in your knee, a headache, anxiety, sleep, all sorts. And listen, if it's placebo or not, I don't care because it really helps me. And I believe it because we're frequency. Everything's frequency.
Yes.
So,
I mean, I mean, like it directly sends messages to the control center of our,
Yes.
I believe in that so strong.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yeah.
But the 4x4 is actually, that is a really good one because I think for those of us who struggle with panic, so much of the time when we're in fight or flight, we literally stop breathing.
Literally. And then you're like, oh, I can't breathe. I'm going to die. I told you I can't breathe. And you're like, no, you haven't taken a breath.
So if you measure it, then you're like, okay.
You can sort of
I just did one.
Yes.
I just did another.
Yeah. Sometimes also
it's actually working.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll because I will often wake up with a panic attack or like
in the middle of the night or in the morning.
In the middle of the night.
Yeah, same. I've never woken up in the morning. But the middle of the night ones are freaking scary.
Yeah, and I'm like, is it the cortisol? Is it my hormones? Is it my perimenopause? Like, for women, it's complicated. But like, I sometimes like just getting up and like just like brushing off the energy. For me, I have a shaman that I go to in LA who's amazing. Yeah. And she's like, Chrissy, just like release the energy. Just say, it's not mine. It's not mine. Release it. Release it. Sometimes that helps too.
Ooh, I love that. I've never heard that one.
Yeah. Just sort of like
add that to my toolbox.
Yeah. Just like push it off of you. Or
next
like
I'm
walking
gonna
around.
have that visual of you just being like,
yeah, exactly. Get off of me.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll just like walk around, the kitchen or the living room, wherever, Yeah. It doesn't matter. Just sort of shift the energy.
So I'm sure you've been asked this and are probably tired of answering this question a million times, but for the sake of our audience and for my own curiosity in our conversation, you played Kate on This Is Us.
Yes.
And it meant embodying real struggles with your body image and self-worth. Back to what you talked about with acting and how that related to connecting you to being able to connect to emotions and what have you. How did that role challenge or mirror you?
I mean, mirrored me in ways that like I always felt like I was a second fiddle. You know, Kate was sort of living in Kevin's shadow. You know, he's this gorgeous, handsome. What I thought was so special about the progression of their characters was that, yes, Kevin had, you know, he's beautiful, he's handsome, he's talented, but like he still had his own issues and is still, you know, still contending with his self-worth. And, you know, it doesn't matter really what you look like. We just had different body shapes. But so much of being in the shadows and wanting to help people and not feeling worthy of like being a full-fledged person and being happy and feeling like I'm worthy of being happy. Very, very similar with Kate. And I actually wrote a letter to the executives. I talked about it in my memoir. I wrote a letter to the executives of the show and just said, listen, I know whoever you're going to choose is going to be the right person, but I want you to know, like, I know this girl. Like, I know this character. And it's not like me to ask for anything. But I had, like, no shame about it because I just felt, even though I didn't feel like I necessarily was ready for it, I was like, I think this is what I'm supposed to do. I need to write this letter. And I remember like the second day on set, I was just standing there with Chris Sullivan, who plays Toby. And I was like, I can't do this. Like, I'm so scared. Like, why did they choose me? Like, I'm not ready. And he's like, you can do this. And I'm like, I can. And so for me, it was, I got to really prove to myself that I can suit up and show up for myself. It might be imperfect. It might not be pretty. But can I work through my anxiety, my insecurities, and just keep pushing through? And I'm so grateful I did, because I obviously wouldn't be the woman I am today. And for people believing in me before I believed in myself, you know, all of those factors were so important for me. But it was a struggle, you know, especially like when everybody has like lists of credits on their resume. And here I am, like, first show I ever tested for. I've been living in LA for 12 years. I've been a talent agent. Why me? How, what? And still questioning that, like, ugh. But and also like the healing through Jack and Kate's relationship that I never had with a father figure. I mean, it was providential. Like, there's no way that wasn't supposed to happen for me. And that's why it's so much more than a TV show or a movie, or TV show, excuse me, or a project.
I think that everybody who's seen it would say that as well.
Yeah.
Even though they weren't the ones that experienced it like you did, you know. What would you say that your biggest trigger was playing that role?
I think it was always like the only thing anybody ever wanted to talk about was Kate's weight. And it's like, finally, when she started to be written in a way that it was about her wanting to be a mom and a successful, you know, career woman, and just because she's in a different body doesn't mean that she's not worthy of those things. But like, for the first couple of years, it was like, that's all they wanted to talk about. Oh, finally there's a big girl on TV and she's on a network TV show. And it certainly has changed, completely changed the industry, which is like, oh my goodness, Dan Fogelman was so, and the executives were so, I don't even know what the word is, but like, it was so good that they took a chance on someone who actually wasn't a size whatever, who looked different, but also was contending with life on life's terms. So the fact that it really changed the industry, because now you see people on TV that has nothing to do with their weight. They're just different shaped body or age or race. Like, thank God. But it was like, guys, I'm not just relegated to my weight. You know, like, yes, it's a part of me, but it's not all that I am. And that was because then also because there's a stigma. It's like, these beautiful models outwardly are perfect. Meanwhile, they're struggling with their own demons. But because they're thin, they're revered and respected.
They get connected to the positive cycle, and
Yes.
they're never connected to that actual, we
Right.
talk about at the beginning of the show,
Yeah.
the where's my value?
Right.
Nothing ever pulls them to center.
Right. And then I think, how difficult must it be to be so beautiful, to feel like you have to maintain this look, or you're unworthy. So it's the same thing, but opposite. I think that would be the biggest struggle. And, I get it. Like, it is such a part of me. I can't extract it, and I don't want to, because it's made me who I am, for better, for worse. It's hard when everybody else is, it's like, oh my God, look at this big girl on TV. Oh, she did such a good job.
Yep.
Not like, oh, I think the narrative started to change a bit when I started to prove myself that, like, there were other aspects that were noteworthy, but, and I was like, oh, the poor big girl from the small town. But it is true. We did grow up poor, and I was a big girl from a small town. So, like, I can't deny that, but it's not all that I am.
Yeah. And I think correct me if I'm wrong, but what I hear you saying is that instead of being, giving sympathy and being a victim, you deserved to be recognized for your hard work and achievements and the real life things that you face, and not this one-dimensional archetype.
Yeah, they're like, oh my gosh, Chrissy wore a bathing suit on vacation.
Right.
Yeah, girl, because if you're going in a pool, you're probably going to wear a bathing suit.
Slow news week.
I know the clickbait stuff is so, I'm so, like, I'm over it.
Yes. So Stay Awake. I want to switch dynamics just a little bit, because this one is so close to me. Stay Awake is a film focused on addiction in the family. Do you have a personal attachment or connection to that narrative?
Well, I think if it's not food, it was probably alcohol in my family. My grandfather was an alcoholic. And what I loved so much about Jamie Sicily, who's, is based on his real life, he and I actually have the same birthday. He's the writer-director. He didn't want to villainize, the mother. And even though she was the addict, it's like, let's focus on the caretakers, which were her sons, and how beautiful and heartbreaking it is to see that they're the ones taking care of their mother, and that she tried so hard. Like, it's not for her not wanting to get, on the other side of her addiction, but I also know that addiction is so baffling. It's like, when you're on the outside, you're like, why can't you just put the drink down? Why can't you just put the food down? Why do you have to gamble all the money away? So, I think all of us fill the void with something. Maybe some people just have more destructive behaviors.
And some of us are better at hiding it than others.
Yes. Yeah. And so, I think everybody can relate to it, even if you've never really had an alcohol or opioid addiction or any severe drug addiction. Like, you can see the desire for people to want to change so desperately, but that the addiction has such a grip.
It's not self-control.
No, I know.
And I think that's the illusion that we're all those of us who are addicts that haven't found recovery yet. And then also the people the support system. I mean, like, we are just taught from the beginning, subliminally or verbally, but actually in real messages, that it's a lack of willpower.
Yeah, absolutely. They're like, oh, Chrissy, just like, what do you have, candy bars under your pillow? I'm like, Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Like, get out of here. Like, you have no idea.
First of all, that's not even a good storage spot because they would melt. Why the hell would you put them under the pillow?
Hello.
The chocolate needs to be crunchy.
Right. And I don't want to hear the crinkly crink while I'm trying to sleep. But yeah, that just, when Jamie came to me with the project, it just made so much sense to want to be a part of something that was so important and timely, especially with the opioid crisis.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is an epidemic of crazy proportion. I mean, that's why we've seen so many other shows about it. And also the way that things are set up for it to be so accessible is absolutely heartbreaking.
It is.
Yeah.
I was so excited to see when you, that you were part of that project.
Mm-hmm.
And so thank you for sharing about that. I mean, like, what a really cool thing that you've been able to be part of such like life-changing work in Hollywood. That's not just for the paycheck and script. You know what I mean? Like, not a lot of actors can say that. I mean, like, so.
I'm so grateful like that the opportunities even existed, and that it was just the right, time and the right people to work with. But the biggest thing for me is I want to leave something, a project better than I found it.
Mm-hmm.
That is the biggest. I mean, that's what I believe the reason why we're here.
Yes.
On this plane of existence. And so I hope and pray that continues to happen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we have that choice every day, but I feel like
Yes.
I keep watching,
We have that choice every day.
Yes.
Every day. Every day.
You boldly stepped into music. When you came to town, I was so excited to see that. I mean, I didn't know that you had the musical bone in your body, and you and Matt, doing your thing.
Matt Bloyd.
Yes.
That
I mean,
boy.
I just it's been so wonderful to see you come and, put your own spin on Music City. And
I mean, I love it. I love that it's just such a communal city. It's like people actually want to write with you.
yeah.
And I'm actually writing the movie I did in South Africa. I hope South Africa. I hope that the song makes it, but I'm writing a song for like the end credit title song. Yeah, so that's...
And she's going to sing it for us now, folks.
Yeah. I can't. It's not legal yet.
Okay. Wait, what was that from? Was that Gainesville?
I don't know. Anywhere it came from. Sometimes it's a little heightened. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Can you do that British as well?
What's that?
Do it British as well.
Yeah, give us the heightened British.
I know I can't do that. It's a little heightened.
Oh, because British people are so stoic. So that's like...
Yeah, you can't be like... Heightened. I mean, you can, but
wait. I feel like there's a like a Disney character or something. You just reminded me of something from somewhere. Like,
maybe Ursula.
I don't know.
When she's like, "Where are they?" Oh no, that's Cruella. When she's like, "Eric, get away from her." Do you remember that?
No,
oh,
but
gosh,
that's
I'm
good.
obsessed. I'm obsessed with Ursula. She misunderstood. Where's her origin story, folks?
Ooh.
Give us an Ursula origin story. Maybe they're working on it.
That would be a really fun.
If not,
I'm a sucker for a really good the people who just do like the online series, like influencers who do a storyline, and it's just a thing they do for however long until it runs. Can somebody please do that?
Maybe they have.
I'm gonna
Maybe they have. We're gonna have to research.
Yep. Okay. I wanna before we close out, ask you about what. The moment this sparked this new book, when I talked to God, I talked about my feelings. What was that moment, and why did you choose now?
Well, the first book did well.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, of course, the reason why we wrote that book was just the gentle introduction to prayer for kids. Because like I said, I knew I was searching for something as a kid, but I didn't know where to find it. And I was like, can I pray at night or at church? Like only when I'm with other people, like when can I do that? And so when we were out reading that book, like I said earlier, and the kids were just wanting to talk about their feelings, like I slept in my bed by myself tonight and I wasn't scared. I'm like, what? Like so many of the kids just want to be heard. And so when they offered for a second book, I was like, I really think the kids have told us what they wanted it to be about.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have this gentle introduction to prayer and you're starting to have a relationship with God, then what do you pray about? Anything you want. Nothing too big, nothing too small, any feeling. And again, I wish I had a book like this when I was a kid. But yeah, that was really the reason why we did it. And, you know, I'd love to make it an anthology, and hopefully if this book does well enough, they'll want to hear about a third book. But yeah, I just think we need to start, you know, getting these kids to talk about how they feel.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I'm in the space of like talking about like the adults all the time. As we've been, you know, talking about this target for you, you know, in focusing on early childhood education in this realm of equipping them. Does this conversation for you lead to people asking, because knowing that you've done all this work on yourself, here's these the literature that you're putting together for the kids, what would you say that the adults that are past that point, already hardwired, from an encouragement standpoint or challenge to them?
Yeah. I would just remind them lovingly that like they were kids once too. And if there was a feeling or a situation maybe they never healed from or talked about, that if they could sort of see themselves through their children's eyes, that maybe there could be conversations that haven't been had that need to happen, and to have patience and grace around it, because I mean, literally, we're just big kids.
Isn't that the truth?
We're just big kids.
I thought when I was growing up, I thought I was going to have this feeling when I got older of like being an adult and like, you know, all the, I feel like I'm a kid that's been alive a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And there's something so beautiful about that, because that is not only the true nature of who we are, but the joy and the love. And I think we forget about that because life gets complicated, it gets messy, it gets difficult, expensive, bills for days. So yeah, I mean, but we have feelings about all the things.
That's right.
And so hopefully it will just create a conversation and just a space and time for connectivity. I think especially now, I don't know if you've seen Adolescence on Netflix.
No.
Oh, wow.
Is it a documentary or a series?
It's a 4-part series. Stephen Graham co-wrote and stars in it. And I mean, I just think that it's so important for us to connect with people that we love, especially with social media and the way that we can all be influenced for things that aren't even true. We get the highlight reel and then we compare and despair. And, you know, I think people just want to connect. And that's why the positive aspects of social media is great. But baby, the negative is a real negative.
Not the truth.
So, yeah, just connectivity.
So for the person, and I'm going to say adult here, like, you've done so much of your own healing journey. If you had to speak to somebody who's in that spot, needing to start, what type of encouragement would you say to them? Like, this is the best starting point in my book. Yeah, I think not like that book, but I think I would have to say, you know, I would always get intimidated by things being insurmountable. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. It's never going to get done. I'm never going to lose all the weight. I'm never going to, this closet, whatever, fill in the blank. It's just important to start. Just start. Like, whether it's, oh, I'm going to look for a therapist, or you know what, I'm going to be honest about my feelings when my friend says, hey, do you want to come out? And I'm like, no, I don't feel like coming out tonight. I'm so sorry if that disappointed you. Just little drops in the bucket make a massive, massive difference. And to just have grace around that, because again, one day is great, one day might not be so great.
And know that, like, if you're here, like I said earlier, like, you're purposeful. That's right. You know, like, it's so important to know that there's a reason and there's a purpose in your life, and that you're worthy of taking care of yourself. And like they say on the airplanes, you got to put the oxygen mask on yourself first.
Amen, sister.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, again, it's hard. It's especially if you're not taught that, but you're worthy of doing that.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, bonus round.
Tell me.
Going from serious to funny. Well, actually, this might not be funny.
Okay.
So,
okay.
But okay, so I got 3 questions for you.
Okay.
What was one storm that you didn't think you'd survive, but you did?
Oh, can I say the tornadoes that just happened here in Nashville? Lord, I'm not kidding you. I was in the closet with bike helmets on.
Multiple helmets?
No, well, my boyfriend and
Okay.
I. Can you imagine? I had one on top of the other.
I can.
Just for extra safety.
Actually,
Listen, I'm not above that, okay? For the record. No, but I was like, babe, please go get the helmets. And he's like, are you serious? I'm like, yes, I'm serious. You get one and I get one. And he was like, okay. I mean, what a trooper. He calmed my nerves.
He actually wore it with you?
He actually wore it with me.
What a great guy.
I know. A gem. He actually wore it.
Well, I mean, that's legit.
I know. I agree.
Yeah.
That's love, baby. That's love.
The briefest definition that you could say to pack the punch, what does mental health mean to you now?
It means, what does mental health mean to me now? It means it's necessary. Mental health.
Period.
Mental health is necessary. Yeah.
If your younger self could see you now, what do you think she'd say?
Okay, girl. Okay. Ooh. I think she would say, like, we did it? Question mark? You're thriving and surviving and helping other people and loving yourself through it and with it. Yeah.
And you'd say back?
I would say, I didn't think we were going to, but look at us now. Like, I honestly, oof. Yeah. I say, yeah, we did it. And I'm so grateful we did it together. Yes. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Chrissy Metz, this has been one of my favorite episodes. And I get in trouble every time I say that because I'm like, I've had
because you don't mean it. It's okay. It's okay.
Okay, rude. Yeah, no, it's because I'm a people pleaser and I'm worried about the others that, you know, all of them being like, wait, what? Anyway, they don't care. They're not.
It won't make the cut. It'll just be between you and I.
They're gonna make. They're gonna purpose. They're probably gonna put it in the teaser.
Well, I'm not saying I'm good at them, but I sure enjoy it.
This has been so great, and I'm grateful
me.
for you, your journey, your purpose, the fact that you are still around, and that those messages in your teen years did not succeed.
Oh, thank you. Same. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And to our audience, I'm so very grateful for each and every one of you, and I want to remind you that it's never too late to start loving yourself, and you're always only one decision away from a completely different life. And happy you got it. I do have it. Happy Mental Health Awareness Month.
This podcast is brought to you by Promises Behavioral Health. If you or a loved one are struggling with trauma, addiction, or mental health, we are ready to answer your questions and help you take that next step. Call our admissions center at 888-648-4098 or visit us online at www.promises.com. Our team is ready and waiting to answer the call for help.